Hi BookTube, it's Jackie and welcome to my literary corner. So I'm actually going to film two videos today before I go for my run. They were videos that I started thinking about today because we did my carpet needs to be fixed. So my mom was kind of, giving me a bit of a hard time on how I have a lot of clutter in my room. Like, that's my problem. It's not that, you can't walk around my room or anything, and it's just I have a lot of clutter, but I do try to keep it organized. It's just never last. So I was, and it's hard for me to decide what books to get rid of. Like, I ended up finally deciding after months and months of having them set aside in a box full of keepsake books. That I finally, some of my Marissa Meyer books I've decided to donate to Givens, or that other bookshop, other used bookstore in town. Givens is just easier to get to because I can walk there. But then I really like the other one, and the other one, when you donate books, you get the discount. So I'm gonna try to eventually, once this whole coronavirus thing is done and we can be able to go out in the world and not stay in all day, I'm gonna go through those books and see which ones I want to get which ones I want to go to which place, which is gonna be kind of hard because on the one hand I'm thinking, oh, I can help Givens out by giving them books that they normally wouldn't get because they take donations, and the community here doesn't necessarily read all the books that I like. So I'm like thinking, oh, maybe the people that go to the high school or the college might be interested in these books. But then at the same time, I like the other bookshop just a little bit better than Givens because it has more of a variety of a selection. I mean, it doesn't have the biggest. It still doesn't have the biggest selection because it just started last year, which I'm nervous for both places because with this whole virus thing going on, and the fact that the other one, the next town over, just opened I think it was December. Yeah, I think it was in 2019, December 2019. Just like the one where my grandma lives, the bookshop. Although now that's not a used bookshop, that's just a regular bookshop, independent bookshop. But I'm worried about them now. I hope that one doesn't go away because the stupid virus has shown up and ruined everything and ruined the businesses and all that. So I'll figure it out though. But anyway, the two videos I'm gonna end up filming are, this one I think will be my update on what's going on with my classics and what's going on with my Stephen King, because last year I started a Stephen King project, and I also wanted, and then I'm just kind of doing a classic project too, not as I didn't talk about it as much, but I did express for my goals of last year, and again, I want to continue it this year to read more classics. And the same thing with the Stephen King thing. I just made I'm more determined with that one. I mean, I'm determined with reading more classics, but I'm more I can't think of what I want to say. I'm putting more emphasis, I guess, on the Stephen King thing. But anyway, okay, so first I did decide I read Rose. Okay, so what I've read so far is I've read Everything's Eventual, the short story collection. Some of those were pretty good, not all of them. And then I've read, as far as his novels go, I've read Red Rose Matter at the end of last year, going into this year. Actually, I think I did finish it last year. And Pet Sematary and Misery. Those are the only novels. And the next closest thing to a novel that I actually finished by him was I finally finished The Library Policeman, which is one of his novellas. So it's not as short as a short story, but it's not as long as his Big King Giant novels. Which I think I prefer the novellas over the short stories, Because the short stories, I like them. I don't hate them. I think they're very interesting. But they lack something for me. They feel like they're missing something. They just jump. We get a little bit introduction of the characters and maybe a little bit of backstory, but then they jump into the scary part. I mean, not he doesn't. He doesn't like instantly all of a sudden it's scary. He still builds it up, but it feels like incomplete, almost like there's more to be discovered. And for me, that's not always. I don't always like that. Which is funny. That's what people say about Seanan McGuire's The Wayward Children series, but I'm not finding that at all with those. I'm very satisfied. I've been very satisfied with the first 2 books, and now I'm in the middle of the 3rd book, and I think so far that's, if I put those in order as far as favorites, that one would be number 1, I think. And then Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and then the first one. But I think I'm really gonna love In the Absence Dream because that's about the goblin market, and I don't know why I find that concept really cool. It kind of makes me think of on Charmed, the old one, the original Charmed, the whole demon market, and when Piper's baby, baby Wyatt, gets stolen by the crone, or but not by the crone. The crone does come back in a later episode, but by these parasite demons who want to drain him of his magic, and Auntie Paige decides to go to the demon market against the wishes of Piper. And I always thought that whole idea was really cool. But anyway, back to Stephen King. I already kind of talked about it in a review a little bit in my last currently reading or reading update, I don't remember what I called it. But this one is for anyone who loves reading and and uses the library. This one is gonna really creep. If it doesn't scare the crap out of you, it's gonna creep you out. It's basically like what if the mean librarian really was like a monster or something? What would you do? And I am convinced that there's a connection between. I mean, probably not. I'm probably reading too much into it, but Stephen King does write his own kind of universe, and most of his novels are interlinked in his short stories. But because the monster in The Library Policeman makes me think so much of Pennywise. They have a lot in common. But it was real. Now I do think that I can kind of understand if people that are librarians for a living, or work in a library, like even if they're just volunteers, probably might not like that one the best, because librarians, unfortunately, there's a stereotypical reputation for a librarian, characters that are a librarian. Either you're the sexy librarian, or you're the crap, I can't think of the word. I was thinking about the word earlier. Spinster librarian, like the cranky old lady, or even the sweet old lady. Or like I said, you're the sexy one. Unfortunately, that's like with guys, it's a different story. With guys, you're the nerdy, intellectual type, which can be unfortunately seen as, well, not unfortunately, but it's a little unfair that men get to seem the sexy intellectual, which I agree. I find those kind of male characters that have the professor persona or the intellectual persona very sexy. But it's a little unfair because with women, like I said, you have to be, you're all sexy librarian with the short skirts and stuff, or you're the old lady that's either mean and cranky, or you're just really, really sweet. And I think sometimes those stereotypes aren't that great. They're not, because librarians are not like that. I mean, they're just regular people. I mean, why do they have to be like either sexy or an old lady? Why can't they be like somewhere in the middle? I mean, that's one of the things I did, at least from what I remember, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but in Beautiful Creature series, I don't think the character in the book that was supposed to be a librarian was not either one of those. And in the movie, she was the same woman who was the guardian and the aunt and the foster aunt to our narrator. So, and she wasn't that way either. She wasn't she's kind of more like probably maybe a little bit younger than my mom. So, but still very just the mom type, but not like, you don't, not the stereotype. She's just a regular person. But anyway, so I definitely get that why there was a person that is a librarian that made a review and gave it 2 stars. And I think it's hard to look at the story, the novel, objectively if there's an aspect of it that you find offensive or that you just don't really like. And I did start the Sundog. I decided to go into it because then who knows when I'll finally come back to it. Because I've had this book for years. I mean, I had this way before we even moved here. It was like one of the first Stephen King books I bought. And, in fact, it's the same format or same design with the title, his name, and this kind of font, and this in the black, and there's the picture here, and then there's on the titles on the bottom. It's the same. My original copy of It was like this. I did buy another copy. Although I was very tempted to buy the trade paperback one that's white with the it's all white with the title in black in red paint it's probably supposed to be blood. And then there's the clown smile, like the Ronald McDonald smile on it. And then there's also the movie tie-in edition, which is really nice too, which I actually like. Sometimes I like movie tie-in editions or show tie-in editions. Other times, not so much. Like at least with this one, you just have the silhouettes of Georgie and then the clown holding the balloon, and you don't even see Georgie's face. I think that kind of is aesthetically cool to look at, and a cool image. But my original one was this kind with a clown in the sewer, but the clown looked very different. It might have been even closer to how it's described in the book. But so I did start the Sundog, but I don't know if I will finish it, if I'll be able to squeeze it, because there's only a few days left until April. So I don't know, but so far that's what's been going on with my Stephen King reading. I haven't, and I think the Library Policeman is the first Stephen King I've read since I don't know if I read. I think I read Misery first and then Pet Sematary. So I guess since I read Pet Sematary. And then I've of course got both movies now, and I did do a comparison of which movie I prefer. I'm comparing the 2 movies and talking about which one I prefer. And then I have thought about doing a video where I can say which one portrayed the book better. But that book is really, really long, and even though I've already read it once, it's still, I like, if I showed you the book, I did start it, but I'm not even halfway. I'm barely into it. So, because I ended up restarting it. It's just going to take me a long time. Like, I'm not someone, I have thought about, like, being like, oh, I can read 100 pages, but then I never do because I get distracted. And sometimes I just want to get out, and then I always want to, because I don't want to ever get any thicker than I am as far as my body. So it's like I always want to make sure I go running every day unless it's just snowing or raining. So it's like it's hard to it's hard to manage my time. But I really liked that one. I don't know if the Sundog is let me see what the little thing says. There's a little. So it says you are focusing on a beast bent on shedding your sanity. So I don't know if it has to do with so I thought it was, I'm wondering, and I kept thinking, maybe, I wonder if it's if it has anything to do with, like, if it's similar to Cujo or not, because I'm very apprehensive about reading books about mad, rabies-infected dogs, because I love dogs, and the idea of reading about a dog, but I feel like I don't want to neglect reading that one. I want to at least try it. And I don't want to dismiss it just because I'm nervous that it might upset me because it's about a dog. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that, and I don't know what I'm gonna read after I read The Sundog, because I read The Long Letters years ago, so I've read it and I've seen the movie, and I feel like I need to read The Secret Garden. I need to try reading Secret Garden, Secret Window again, but I don't know if that will happen because I've seen the movie, and so as I've said a million times before, I feel like whenever I watch the movie first, or see the TV show first, then there's the danger of me thinking, oh, I already know the story. You know, it's like, what's the point of reading it? Although it's probably more of a danger when it comes to movie than TV shows. Okay, so now it's time to do an update on the classics. Okay, so Classic Reading, I'm still making my way through. Although I haven't read in a while, I'm still kind of slowly making my, really slowly, I'm like a turtle, making my way through, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. And and our Count has interacted with Monsieur Danglars and his wife, and he's kind of put himself in the position of Danglars' wife really liking him and appreciating him because he saves his son from getting run over. I think that's what happened. So now he's looking like a heroic figure in her eyes. And he's kind of slowly making Danglars look bad. I mean, it sounds like it's so delicious, it's so, like, conniving and everything, so entertaining, but then it's so long, and sometimes, like, classic authors tend to be wordy and take a long time to get to a main point. And sometimes, I get distracted by books that won't take me as long to read. I mean, it even happens with fantasy sometimes, too. So I'm working on that one, but I ended up deciding to, finally, because I had got this from the library, and I decided I didn't want to, because I knew it would take me a long time, and I always make this mistake where I get books from the library that I know are going to take me forever to read and never finish, and it always gives me anxious feelings, because it's like, I know that eventually I'm going to have to return it, and I feel guilty, and it bothers me, and it makes me uncomfortable, and no matter how many times someone assures me that, well, you can always recheck it out, it's still, I can't get rid of the feeling, the nagging feeling of feeling like I have to finish this book, and then it just ruins the appeal of the book for me. So I just gotta stop getting books that I know are going to take me a long time to read from the library. It's just sometimes, but anyway, so finally bought a copy of The Odyssey myself, this nice fancy cloth-bound edition, which you guys have already seen, and I'm at the point, I'm on the chapter of where he meets Cersei. So I think what ended up happening was he got to the house of what is his name? The island of Alcinous. He met his daughter, and the daughter brought him, with some smooth talk from Odysseus. She brought him to her father, and at this point he decides to tell them about his adventures before he got here. So that's when we get the whole story about the Cyclops, and now we're on the chapter of Cersei. Which, like I said, I talked about this in my video, how stupid Odysseus was, because he gave the Cyclops had them captured. He was killing a lot of his men by slamming them against the wall of the cave the Cyclops lived in. So Odysseus came up with a plan, because the surviving members of his crew they had to get away before they all ended up dead and smashed to pieces, literally. So Odysseus, gets him drunk, get the Cyclops all drunk and stuff, and stabs his eye with the help of his crew. And then, the Cyclops all drunk and stuff, before he stabbed his eye, he told him, "I am nobody, and nobody has overpowered you," and blah blah blah, so they could escape, pretending, telling him my name is nobody. So they stab his eye and run away and escape, and the Cyclops is trying to call. He's in pain. His eye is throbbing. He's in pain. He's calling to his friends. He's like, "Help me! Help me! These guys tricked me and they hurt me. They hurt me and all that." And he's like, and they're like, "Who did?" His friends are like, "Who did this to you?" And he's like, "Nobody hurt me," and blah blah blah. And so the guys are like, so his fellow Cyclops are like, "Okay, nobody hurt you, all right." So they ignore him, and they get away. Odysseus and his crew get away, his remaining crew, and they're sailing away, and the Cyclops is tearing through the trees and going after them, and of course he's a Cyclops, so he's a giant, and the whole time Odysseus, being a dumbass, is like taunting him, is like, "Ha ha ha ha, I got away," and then he proceeds to tell him, he says, "Odysseus kicked your butt." He actually tells him his name, and it's like, "You dumbass. Did you all of a sudden, forget the reason why you called yourself nobody to the Cyclops when you were tricking him? Did you forget? Why are you so cocky now? You're not." And then, of course, you find out the Cyclops is the son of Poseidon, which I actually kind of knew that, because despite the fact that I've never read the Percy Jackson books, I've seen them, at least I saw one of the movies. Actually, I've seen two of them. The first two movies are the only movies, actually, because fans were not happy with the movies. They did not do a good job, so they haven't made the third one yet. They never did. But I saw the third one, I think I remember finding out that the kid with the one eye was supposed to be the Cyclops, who was the half son of Poseidon, Percy. So he's Percy's half brother. But it's like, you idiot! You just told that. Did you forget the reason why you called yourself nobody to the Cyclops? I'm sorry, I just find that so stupid that he did that. And even his crew is like, "Dude, shut up. Let's just go. Let's get out of here." But he gets cocky. You dumbass. But anyway, I am really liking this book. I am having such a good time, I was apprehensive about it. But the way it's written is, it's kind of an easy read. It's just like reading a regular book. I mean, there are some aspects that prove how old the book is. Like, the way it portrays the female characters and stuff like that. It's so funny that I decided to read this after I DNF'd Song of Achilles. And then I also ended up buying the Iliad, which I probably should have started first, but I'd already started this one because at the time when I got from the library, I was thinking, for some reason, this one is first, and then this one. But nope. I started this one, so I feel like it'll be weird to jump into this one before I finish this one. So, although I guess it wouldn't, it's not like the library police are gonna get me. I don't think. You never know. But I also figure, you know what, it's the, I kind of know what happened in the story from, the movie Troy and other sources. So, the Iliad is the whole war of Troy and Helen and everything, and Helen getting captured by what is his name? Hector's the only brother. Prince Paris, who kidnapped her, which when I read this, I'm going to be picturing the actors in Troy as the characters. Prince Paris kidnaps her because he's in love with her, and Helen being Agamemnon's wife, so his brother, Or is that Agamemnon the brother? Let me see. I think there's a character list in here. Oh, okay, let me see. Maybe there's one in the back. No, I thought there was a character list. Or maybe it's in the Odyssey. No. Oh, maybe it was in the, maybe it was in the other ones I got from the library. It was in those editions. But, anyway. What was I gonna say? So, yeah, it's so, like, I mean, I can't remember who the, oh, wait, actually, no, I know how I can figure it out. I can still look in the, okay, Menelaus, Agamemnon's the brother who was all like, oh, let's use this as an excuse to kick the Troys out and kick the Greeks at butts, or the Trojans. Let's use it as an excuse. Basically, he was like, his brother, you should start a war for this because this guy kidnapped your wife. It's like, it's kind of stupid. I mean, on the one hand, you could argue that, the guy would start a war for me, but then you realize the only reason that they started this war in the first place wasn't just because, I mean, like, that was definitely part of it in either way. I think it's a very weak argument to be like, I'm so flattered he started a war for me. I think a sensible woman would be like, really? All this, like, a vain woman would be like, you started a war for me, you love me that much. But I think a sensible, practical woman would be like, really? You're gonna kill people for me? That does not show you love me. It just shows you have issues. That you're insecure and you have a temper. But I think I always had this feeling that Helen is not a character to be trusted. That she's kind of manipulative. I could be wrong there. The one person that I think might be able to tell me, which for some reason I always associated. I had this, this friend Christina who I brought up a couple times. I think I brought up this. That for some reason I'm thinking that she has read these books, so she would be familiar with it. I would be tempted to get a cloth-bound edition of the Iliad, but the problem is this was a bit of a risky move for me to buy this, and it was like, the price that's already on here is, for the US, is $25. But for some reason, I already told the story that when I got to Books A Million, I saw it. For some reason, I was looking at the UK price, so I was thinking, ooh, $14.99. But nope, it's actually $25. But because I'm a member, I got the discount. Although by my birthday month, I will no longer be a member, and I will have to renew that, which maybe I will get a chance if my parents drop me off there for my birthday. Maybe my parents will drop me off there on my birthday. Okay, so as far as that goes, so anyway, classics-wise, I am also reading, I figure I need to start, I don't want this to go too long before I read the next book in the Bart Sir Sire, I don't know how to say it, but that series by Trollope, one of his series. I cannot figure out how to say it. I would need to hear someone say it. But I don't want it to go too long before I read the second book in the series. So this is the second book, Barchester Towers, which I think is what the town is called, the village or the town or whatever where they live. Barchester and the Towers, which I did not realize when I first saw this title, I thought literally it was a tower. But then reading the first book, when I read the first book, I realized that the Towers was the last name of a group of people in the town. I don't know what they are. I guess they're part of the clergy, maybe, or something. I don't know what their role is in the town, but I think this book is about them, about that family. So, and which, by the way, means I did read the first one in the series. So, the first one, which was, what was it called? I just put it away. What was it? I cannot remember what it's called, but it's the first book. I'm trying not to get up and look at the book. What was it called? Dr. Thorne is another book in the series. It's The Warden. The Warden, that's what it's called. The Warden, which is about the guy who first was the warden of the church. Septimus something, I cannot remember. It's about him and his daughter, and he gets into a antagonistic situation with the guy who wants to marry his daughter because he doesn't like how they're getting this money. The people at the church are getting this money when it should go as their salary or something. When it should go to the people who really need it. And there is this fight between the two of them. And of course, the daughter is loyal to her father and takes her father's side on the situation. And unfortunately, her brother-in-law, the guy who's married to the sister, who's also a clergyman, is like, he doesn't want this guy to be his brother-in-law, the guy who wants to marry the one girl. And so he's trying to exacerbate the situation. He's making it worse than it is. And then finally, our main character, he's like, I'm done with this. This is too much stress on me. It's going to kill me, and I can't do this anymore. I want to live a very peaceful life. I just want to be closer to God, and I did not want to get involved in the politics of this whole situation. So he says, I'm quitting. He wants to quit. Of course, his son-in-law is not so happy about that. And which is so funny because the trollop in these books, what I've noticed in this book, and I think it goes on in the next, I'm sure it goes on throughout the whole series. I don't know if it goes on in all of his other books. But he kind of provides a little bit of commentary, like he's an omniscient or omnipresent narrator who forms an opinion on everybody and talks about how his characters, they're flawed people, but they have good sides to them. And unfortunately, in this book, The Warden, you see only the bad side of this character. And so it's kind of amusing that he does that, which is actually makes me think of Chuck on Supernatural a little bit. Like I could see him being that type of figure in his when you look at his books. Like, I think, if I read the Supernatural books that they have, I could see it being kind of like the modern equivalent to that, where Chuck kind of provides his own opinion and commentary on the characters in the situation. So it's kind of funny how, because there have been moments in episodes where, in one of the finales, I think, Swan Song in season 5, it opens with him talking and narrating the situation. He talks about the history of their car, the Impala, and he has a nice voice, actually. I wouldn't mind him reading a book to me. But, and then I also decided to go ahead, because I hadn't read any modern classics yet in a while, so I decided I finally need to read another Fitzgerald book. And so I decided to read Tender is the Night. And in this one, it's basically this, it's not just from, at first Rosemary seems like the main character, but I've noticed it's not just from her perspective. She's an actress who's visiting the Riviera of Paris, France, and, which I'm wondering if we went there. And she kind of gets involved with these and enchanted by this couple, the divers, and she ends up having an affair with the husband. And I think the wife is also having an affair, too. and it's a very like interesting situation. It kind of makes me think a little bit of Sarah Waters' her the paying guest, with the two characters, the spouse of the one character having an affair with the main character, and how in showing that these characters are both characters are really like flawed, and the couples just really has a lot of dysfunctions about it that's very messed up. And our main character, which in this case I feel like she's not the main character, but gets mixed up in all this and the toxic relationship of this couple. So it's very interesting. I gotta admit, there are times when I'm a little like lost in the story because, with Fitzgerald's interesting writing style, and it's still a little bit wordy. Not as bad as like Dickens or Anthony Trollope, but because even Trollope gets a little wordy. But it's still interesting. And I think I got the gist of what's going on. But I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I'm not sure but I think the wife is also having an affair with one of the characters as well. And like it's this marriage which I'm wondering, at first I thought the woman on the cover was Rosemary, but I'm wondering if the woman on the cover is Nicole Diver, and this is Dick Diver, which the immature part of my brain kind of laughs, it snickers at that name. It kind of makes me think of on Supernatural when there's one of the bad guys' name is Richard, and Dean kind of mockingly calls him Dick. And then, so as far as, like I said, this year, as far as what I've read, besides what I just showed you, I've read, like I said, I read The Warden, I read, Pamela, which to me, I mean, maybe you would be interested, but to me, that was like, it was boring. I don't know what was going on. And I was kind of irritated by the situation of the plot. Like, you have this woman, Pamela, she's a maid of this rich lady's house, but the rich lady dies right away in the beginning, and she is now the servant to her son, who is apparently a bit of a charmer and chauvinistic pig, and he keeps trying to pursue Pamela, and she's trying to tell him, I'm not interested, or at least, like, at least let's get married, if anything. I don't want to have sex with you until we get married. And he's not getting the message. Apparently he eventually does, because I ended up DNFing the book. The concept of the way it was told was very interesting. It was a Pillsbury novel, which means, despite my bad way of saying it, it's basically letters, told through letters between the characters. I'm wondering, I think that applies to not just letters, but if stories told through diary entries or journals or something, or like newspaper articles, which I'm guessing maybe that's what Dracula is, a Pillsbury novel, because it's told through diary entries and journal entries and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like all that's just the plot of her writing letters to parents, telling her what's going on, and how this guy keeps, at first she thinks, oh, he's just really sweet and nice to me, but then she realizes he's into her and he wants to date her, and she's like, get away from me, I'm not interested, or at least I want to get married first before we do anything. And she's this mortal person, which, yeah, I give her props for that, but it's like, that's all it is. I mean, come on, there's gotta be something more to the plot than that. But I did not like that one. So I also read Jude the Obscure, which I liked better, but I was very like Jude. Granted, I was already warned that Thomas Hardy's endings were like kind of depressing. I was warned ahead of time about those endings, that they would be very sad and heartbreaking. And I think, but the way it ended wasn't just depressing, it was horrible. I mean, it was, traumatic. It was just, I think there's one aspect of the ending that just really was like, oh my god, did you have to go there? It was just very, like, too much, too much. Like the ending, I just couldn't do it. Oh, by the way, this is all referring to my so far this year. It's not referring to how last year ended with, you know. But I do plan to read. I want to read David Copperfield sometime soon. Which I just realized it's like almost 5:15. So you know what? And because I gotta get my run in before my dad gets home, I think I'm gonna wait before I film the other video. Maybe film that tomorrow, because tomorrow I will get home and I'll get home an even better hour tomorrow. Fortunately, I was getting up at like 7 in the morning. And this morning I got up and at 7 I got up with my alarm when I was like, oh, I'm just gonna sleep in a little bit longer, maybe to 7:15 or 7:30, and then next thing I know I open my eyes and it's like 8:10. And the good news is my mom came upstairs, which is probably why, because the carpet guys were going to come and she had to make sure I was up and ready. Of course, they came a little bit later than we thought they were going to come. Okay, so what else? Let me see. What else have I read classics-wise? Okay, let me see if I can... Okay, I don't know how this works. Okay, you guys, I can't see you guys. I don't know if you can see me. I just want to pull up. I should have done this earlier. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I forgot. The very first one I read was Oh Pioneers, which is really great. Which was good. Not like fabulous, but it was good. And I do have My Antonia by Willa Cather, which thanks to my sister. Which a lot of the books that I've this year so far, all the books that I've gotten, some of them I've actually borrowed from my sister. So I read that one before Pamela, and I definitely like that one better. So let's see. Oh, I forgot! Lord of the Rings! Let me correct that. I listened to Lord of the Rings. I didn't actually physically read the book. I listened to it. Because my library... So, I went to the library, and I couldn't find I did not want to read the original books. And I don't even think the physical books were actually there. But I was just, at that point, I was just tired of feeling guilty and feeling like people would accuse me of not being a true fantasy fan, which on the one hand I'm like, that's so stupid, but then on the other hand I'm like, I feel like the fantasy fans are pointing fingers at me every time I hear people like Daniel Green talking about it. I feel guilty that I've only watched the movies. So finally I decided to, my librarian reminded me of the Libby app, which is a library app so you can download books from your library. And that's how I'm listening to, that's how I'm getting the story of the Wayward Children series. And I think I might do that with the Diviners, and then listen to the first book, and then read the second one, Lair of Dreams. And then I don't know if I'll buy the other books or not. Although my issue with that is I like to have my goal is to get all the books in a series. There's only 4, So I liked listening to Lord of the Rings. It was definitely weird listening to someone else play the characters rather than the actors who play them in the movie. It was definitely weird to listen to another person's voice. And some of I think it was a full cast. And the narrator did play some of the voices. And some of them I can't remember which ones. Like, I didn't like Frodo's voice, because it just felt very monotone and felt like it was always the same every time. I mean, maybe he would change it a little bit when he was scared or something, or angry, but it just felt like it was almost always the same sound. Like, there was no variety in his tone, and that kind of bugged me. I'm trying to think of who else I didn't like. I can't think if there were any other characters that I think there was another character that I didn't like. So it was okay experience. I mean, I'm glad I listened to it, but it was just not. Let's see if there's any. I'm gonna move this. Oh no, I should move it down. Sorry if you guys are losing me. I'm just kind of going through my list. Books on Goodreads. Okay, so I think that's it. Oh, and someone actually, I keep coming across, I want to respond to them. I mean, I should just respond to them. I feel bad that I've kind of ignored this person's comment about May your reading journey being an adventure. Well, I could say, so far. I feel like I should at least respond because I feel bad. I feel bad that I haven't responded. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's. I did get 10 likes on this. So yeah, I guess that's it. The last one I read, the last classic I read was, The Return of the King, or listened to, not read, because I didn't physically read the book. So this will be the next classic if I get this one done. Unless I get, yeah, I'll get this one. I think I need to get this one done first, and then I'll go to the Barchester Towers. Back to that one, because I want to read modern classics too. And it's actually not a hard read. It's just sometimes I'm a little like, okay, what's going on here? I'm confused. Who's who? Kind of thing. Or what's going on with who? Like they found a dead body of one of their friends, who I think he's the one that might be having the affair with Nicole. He's gotten into some trouble. His name is something Abel. I think he was approached by this black guy, Jules something, who offers to help him so he doesn't get in trouble in something that happened at the bar he was at. And then the black guy ends up dead in Rosemary's room. She finds his body in there, the room that she's staying at, the hotel that they're all staying at. So Dick and Nicole are trying to cover it up. After that is The Last Tycoon. Is that? So is The Last Tycoon unfinished? So that'd be very interesting. So I was looking. There's a list of the books. In here. His novels. Of F. Scott Fitzgerald novels. So it was The Last Tycoon, which I'm wondering, the first one, The Love of the Last Tycoon, I wonder if that Last Tycoon is, The Love of the Last Tycoon is the actual whole title. And it says in parentheses, it says unfinished. So I wonder if The Last Tycoon is not finished yet. Maybe there was more to it. But I will be reading that soon. That was my original plan, was to read that, but then I decided, since this is a paperback, when I decided to bring this one with me to my grandma's instead. Because I had a lot of hardback books that I was thinking about bringing. So I guess that is my update on my classics and Stephen King. Next time I will wait until I get a more Stephen King read and more classics read. It's just I hadn't done an update of either one of those reading quote unquote projects in a while, so I figured I'll just update you before I just decided to go ahead and film an update video. I still have to finish cleaning my room and clean up all the clutter that was left behind because the carpet guys, we had to move everything, all the stuff, all my extra stuff that could fall, or the breakable stuff, we had to move it somewhere else, and then because they were going to move all my furniture to fix the carpet. And the good news is I'm glad I actually had to work today, because then they could do it while I was gone, and it would be a lot easier than having to wait around, because especially since I can't just go somewhere, I can't go anywhere other than work. The bookstore and library both closed because they don't want to spread the virus, which is understandable. So I'm just very glad that it happened to be on a day that they had me scheduled for work. I definitely appreciate that. Although I probably would have just hung out downstairs and watched TV or something with my parents, maybe sat outside and read. And it's not like they would have been busy all day. It's just, it would have been, I don't know, it might have been an hour of just sitting around doing nothing, watching TV or something. So how is it going with you guys in your reading? Are there any projects you've been working on this year, reading projects, like authors you want to read more books from, or genre books you want to read more from. I am also working on reading more books from more thriller type books. And actually, the next video I wanted to film that I thought about filming today was a video on the books I feel like I need to get to in the next 2 months. You know, kind of a tentative TBR, because I have stopped doing TBRs because I know I never stick to them. But sometimes I feel like they might be necessary because, you know, especially for us mood readers, that there might be some books in our collection that we never get to. And it does not help that, you know, like I said, I live with my mom and dad, and my mom does not like clutter, which I get, you know. And sometimes I like when and again, it is nice when my room looks neat and tidy. Like, I'm not I'm not a minimalist, but I can see the appeal of minimalism, but I will never be a minimalist. It's nice to see, but it is nice to see it's a little bit more organized and a little neater. It's just it never stays that way. So it's kind of hard because she has an opinion. She does not like that I continue. I have books in corners in my room to get, you know, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I don't know if I ever want to read them again, or they're books that I want to donate, but especially now I can't do that because, you know, the bookstores are closed. And then also, sometimes it takes me a long, because I'm a mood reader, sometimes it takes me forever to finally get to a book. And then, unfortunately, I buy more books than I can read. Although, the good news is about being quarantined is that it will give me a chance to get to some of those books if I feel the mood to do that, which I feel like I should put myself in that mood. So, I wanted to film a video where I talk about those particular books. But because it's 5:15, or actually 5:23 now, I feel like I need to go and at least get one run around the neighborhood. So, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell notification below if you want to see when I post new videos. And I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!